Guten Abend, Play, good evening, Hamburg, good evening, people on stream. We'll be continuing the program now with a live dream shaping event and a panel on dreams. We are very happy to be able to be here today. We're very happy that the Play Festival has opened its program for us and for dreams. And we'll be trying to discuss dreams, we'll be trying to show you dreams, but before we begin, it would probably make sense to talk a moment about what dreams actually is, right? Because unfortunately not everybody knows. Now, what is Dreams? Technically speaking, it is a video game that has been available since 2020 on the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. But it is far more than that. It is also a pipeline, a creation suite, an engine that can be used to produce all kinds of things. That can be used to produce games, animations, film, music, all kinds of weird playable experiences and crossover projects. And so our idea of this program slot was to talk about dreams because we, as we are sitting here, are all dreams creators. And we want to talk about what makes this software so interesting for us. We want to talk about what makes this software, in our opinion, a perfect match for the Play Festival, for the playful spirit and for the playful ideas that are present here. And I think we have a nice panel here of people, and I would like to introduce everyone before we start. We have, going from the left, Oliver, also known as Keduko, who is very much into programming logic in the Dreamiverse and realizing all kinds of play mechanics. We have Tim, also known as Saku's Mind, who is a YouTube creator, but also a very well-known dreams creator and is working mainly in environmental design, creation of digital art with dreams, and who is also working for Warmth 3D these days, continuing working on 3D modeling. Now, my name is Stefan. I am a media educator and a long-time fan of the Play Festival, and I've been trying my darnedest to bring dreams to this festival, and happily the great people at Play Festival have allowed me to do just that. So I'll be your host for this program slot, and I'll be trying to guide the conversation a bit. To my right is Lotte and Sebastian, who are members of Team Pick Detective. That may not mean anything to you now, but I can promise you that Team Pick Detective is sort of the closest thing the Dreams community has to an international development team. And they've been developing a series of adventure games called the Pick Detective games, and we'll be talking about their Dreams journey, about their experience with the program. Yes, so that's our briefing for today. And it would be remiss of me not to mention that at the moment Dreams finds itself in dire straits because earlier this month, the software has been available since 2020. The closed beta was in 2019. Now in 2023, Media Molecule, the developer, has announced that they would be ending live support for Dreams starting this September. So the software will no longer be developed, the software will no longer receive new features. It remains available for the time being, and we all hope it will remain available for quite a while to go. But it's a problematic situation, and that's also a reason why we felt it was a good idea, it was pertinent to talk about Dreams and about the community and about the creations, to make it more visible, to keep it visible and to keep it alive. And of course, let me say this as well, I am quite hopeful that a few of the regulars, of the usual regulars from the Dreams community are maybe watching this on stream. Hi to you as well. So we'll be showing you more and talking more about Dreams in these 2 hours. But we won't only talk about it, we won't only tell, we will also show. And that's where Oliver and Tim will be coming into action. So our idea was that especially for those of you who don't know anything about Dreams, who have never worked with Dreams, it would be really cool to see it being used live. And so Oliver and Tim will be developing a short game prototype over the duration of this show. So we'll be starting with that right away, and we will also be needing some suggestions from the audience. Is that right, Tim?
So first of all, you guys can decide what kind of season it's going to be. Is it winter, spring, fall? You guys can decide what kind of environment you would like to see.
So first question, what kind of season do you want for the game? Winter? Okay, everybody okay with winter? Then we'll go with winter. Okay, what else can the audience decide?
So we are going to build a platforming level, a little one, and we want to give the character a little ability. And you could decide which one this is. So be creative, and I will try to build it into the character. So any suggestions?
For the character in a platform game, right?
Right,
so
yeah.
Any suggestions for the character? What?
The penguin. No, not what character, but what should it can do.
Yeah, what abilities does the character need? What should the character be able to do in the game?
Like a power, like something.
Any ideas? Spitting sausages.
Spitting sausages.
That's
all right.
Brilliant. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Thanks to the good sir there in the audience. So we have a platform game. Do you have any more questions? Okay. So to recap really quickly, we're going to have a platform game set in the winter with a character that can spit sausages.
A penguin.
So, huh?
A penguin.
A penguin. A penguin. Maybe a penguin. Maybe a penguin. But whatever it is, it'll be able to spit sausages in any case. So we'll go with that. Gentlemen, I think you have your briefing for now and can start working. Tim here will be working on the environmental design using the move controllers, and you'll be seeing that behind us here, what he'll be doing with that. And Oliver will be working over there, working on the spitting sausages programming. Penguin, yeah. And so we keep checking in with them every now and then to see how everything's going, but you'll also all have a great experience. I hope you'll have a great experience watching along as Tim starts to sculpt stuff. Now, while these two are working and while these two are doing their thing, we'll also keep talking a bit about what Dreams is and what our experiences with Dreams have been so far. And so for that, I would like to turn to Lotte and Sebastian, who, like I said, have been hard at work developing a series that actually comprises several games at this point. Like there are 4 games, I think, 4 big detective games released since 2019,
4
right?
big ones.
Huh?
4 big games. There's also.
Oh yeah, 4
smaller
big
ones.
games and quite a few smaller games and experiences, but 4 big games in the series with maybe a 5th one coming up. So. Without further ado, can you maybe just give our viewers and our audience a bit of an experience, a bit of an idea of your personal Dreams voyage? What drew you to Dreams? How did everything start out? What happened then?
I think it started like, is it 10 years ago or something when the PlayStation 4 was announced? Mm-hmm. And during the announcement show, there was a Dream segment from Media Molecule, and it catched my eye immediately. So I followed the developer, I followed the development progress of the game, and like Media Molecule did a great job of showing the progress on streams on Twitch, and the platform grew bigger and bigger, and the community was asking questions. Can you make a first-person shooter in Dreams? Yes, obviously you can. Can you make a 3D platformer in Dreams? Yes, you can. Can you make a 2D platformer? And the answer was always yes. You can make it in Dreams, and it was blowing my mind. Right. So I was a fan of Little Big Planet, the game Media Molecule made before. But the Creation Suite always felt too restricted for me because it was always a side-scroller platformer. And when I realized, okay, I can do whatever I want on my PlayStation, from my couch, at home, the idea came to my mind. I want to make like an old-school adventure game set in the detective-y noir 1930s, but in like an animal character world with a main character that is a pig as a detective. So
Right.
This was my whole idea. The closed beta came around. We got access to the closed beta. I started fiddling around with the tools. I think Dreams is rather easy to use, but there's a learning curve. So our early game prototype looked very basic. And I dropped in the character, I spray painted it pink, I put on a socket nose and a crudely made gray fedora, and I showed it to you. And maybe you can pick up from there.
Well, it's exactly with the penguin.
Yeah.
This is why I said make it a penguin, because it's not really hard to make a character look like something. In Dreams, you get this basic puppet, and then you make it the color that you want, and you stick on an accessory like a snout, a socket nose, and a head, and you can say, this is my pig, and it's a detective. So we call it a pig detective. And we've been calling it pig detective for 4 years now, I think. And it doesn't look like like a puppet with a crudely made, what did you say, crudely? A crude fedora. It looks better now. That's not because we are doing it, this is because we found somebody else to do it.
Okay, first I found somebody else to do it, because it's an adventure game, so there's a lot of dialogue, it's very story-driven, and I started like typing a very basic adventure-typey noir adventure, like the detective comes to the nightclub, asks for the owner, and so on, and I showed it to you, and so you said that's bad.
I didn't say it's bad. I just said it could be more.
I got Lotte to write for the game. So that was the first addition to Team Pig Detective from me, like dropping in the characters in the game. And you were coming up with the stories. You're coming up with the character traits, with the dialogue. There's lots of dialogue in the game. At first only text-based. Later we recruited voice actors from the community. But now back to you said like the characters look like not good.
They look like stick figures. In the beginning, when you start making things with Dreams, they don't look like that.
Right, because like you said, right, you just jumped, at first you just dropped in a standard puppet into the scene that you can move around in. For everyone who hasn't used the software, the standard puppet looks a lot like the puppets you can buy in an arts craft store to use and pose for to paint people. Now, this puppet is great because it's very versatile and very flexible, but it doesn't look like much. And so at first,
it looks like that. You can see.
Yeah, it looks like the puppet
little blue guy
Tim has added over there. And so all of the character designs were based on it, which is a really functional way to do it, but it also leads to the characters all kind of looking very much like the same basic template, probably, right?
Yeah, because none of us had any experience with game development. Not at all. You not, me not, so that was all I could do at the time, like dropping the basic stuff in and starting with a plain platform, plain character, some dialogue, and we grew from there.
And I think like what you said about Little Big Planet at the beginning, I think that really bears reiterating. Media Molecule, the developer of Dreams, is obviously best known and probably most popular for their Little Big Planet games, Little Big Planet 1 and 2. And these were roaring successes on the PlayStation, I think 3 back in the day. They were great and they were creative and they were weird and funny, but they were also kind of limited in what you could do, right? You could basically build platformers and you could, like, people in the community got up to some crazy stuff with it and made crazy creations, but it was always refracted through the lens of building it through a platformer. And I think it cannot be stated enough how groundbreaking it was, what you said about Dreams, that whatever you could think of, whatever genre you could think of, whatever play mechanic you could think of, that was basically there. You just had to make it. But the tools were there to make it, and the tools are there to make it. Not broken through a particular genre, but it's really a blank slate. It can really be anything you want it to be.
Yeah. But we released our first game. It was inside the Dreams community, was quite a success. I think it was very funny. People thought it was very funny, but the optics were very plain and simple. And I had to realize not everybody is a universal genius. So I had my limitation when it comes to art, to creating things in Dreams. So we started making our second game, and I think you recruited Sean for music, because I can't do music in Dreams, you can. Dreams is a whole creation suite, so you can also make music, but I can't because I'm not talented for music. So we needed someone to give us some original old-timey Wild West score.
Yeah, what also happens in Dreams is you can put things in there for everybody else to use. You can say, everybody can use this thing I made. And that can be a character, it can be an asset, it can be a piece of music. And at first we used the music that was there. And we did realize that although it was nice, it was sometimes also music that we maybe shouldn't be using because it was famous without us knowing.
Yeah, because it was just digitized samples of
would actually be
current
copyright
pop songs,
protected,
right?
protected if it would be.
Yeah.
So. And then we started to meet people who were very gifted and talented. And yeah, in the second game we started asking people to make things for us, specifically. And the first edition was music, that was Sean. And in the third game we got character art from Andy, and yeah, it went from there.
And now, like, I've played all of the Pick Detective games, and I think it's safe to say that I'm a fan. Seeing through the eyes of a fan, I think it has been fascinating to see how the first one is already cool, but it's also, like you said, it's kind of basic. You see that there's something there, worth exploring, but it's still very, like, you can see how it came from the early days of Dreams. You can see how it came from testing out the different tools, and now the latest one released in late summer 2023, like this year. I've already told you this, but it's basically, it plays like an actual commercial release. Like it's a fully realized adventure. It's also quite obvious that a lot of work has gone into it, not only from you two, but also from the other co-creators in the music department, in the animation. There have been lots of voice acting. What has it been like to increasingly manage an international team for this? Like those were all people you didn't know before, right? Those were all people that just happened to be using Dreams at the same time. What was it like to get in touch with them and to say, hey, we've got this crazy project that we just have to make happen?
No, that's not how it happens.
Okay, that's not how it happens.
No. What happens is, with Dreams, what happened was everybody plays the games that everybody else is making, or listens to the music, or experiences the experiences, and you become fans of each other.
Right.
Because when you say, I'm a fan, that's so normal in Dreams to be fans of each other. I'm a fan of everybody I've approached to say, can you do some voice acting for us? And surprise, they are fans of us, so everybody's just very open to do that. Everybody's just contributing to these things. So it's actually nice to do that.
Right.
That's all it is, it's nice.
Yes, and at the same time, it also, like I remember us talking about it yesterday, at the same time, it also quickly spirals out of the scope of a fan creation, right? Like Sebastian said yesterday that towards the release, when the release of the latest game approached, it basically started feeling like, it became like an actual job, like something that really, that eats up so much of your time and so much of your energy that you really have to plan it as if you were planning for your actual day job.
Yeah, if you want to make a video game that is like 6 to 10 hours long, and you have you want it to feel like an actual professional game, there a lot of work goes into it, and a lot of your mental power and time. Yeah, our last project was a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we ever can replicate this effort again. It
was
much.
You keep saying that, and I keep replying that you always say that. But what I think is fascinating is that as a software, Dreams also has given many of us a taste of what it actually means to be a game designer.
Dreams
right?
is on the one hand is a creation suite. On the other hand, is like a game developer simulator.
Right.
Like the Dreams throws the user into, like, it feels like being a game developer with all the negative sides. Like the stress, like the problem with communication, like in the scope, the difficulties, like getting your creative vision through in a team with different creative visions. So, or the whole testing process of a game. Like, the bigger the games got, the more of real development problems came across, and like it was always fascinating to me that it is like a game developer simulator for us.
But you know what? At the same time, I actually think, like, for me, it was really a transformative experience in the sense that, like, it's so easy when you have AAA games these days, or AA games, or even indie games. It's so easy for us as players to go, they should have done that differently, or that's badly made, or that
I will never say anything bad about any video game ever again.
That's what I was getting at, right? Because you get thrown into that situation where you throw around the little building blocks trying to make your own game, and suddenly you realize that yes, the people making those games knew that too, that was different.
I mean, there's obviously bad corporate decisions, but so many times when I hear, okay, things got cut and so on, or why were game decisions made in a game, I totally get it now. It's so close to me now, it's crazy. So yeah, Dreams was quite a journey for me personally. Yeah.
And like at the same time, I can say that like seeing somebody stream your game, like that's something that's very from very personal experience. Like seeing somebody stream your game on Twitch is at the same time the sweetest and the most awful thing imaginable, because it's incredible to see somebody possibly on the other side on the planet interacting with what you have made and trying to intuit what you're trying to say and trying to get through it. And it is also like it can be physically painful to see firsthand what works or what doesn't work. Like to see something that you thought was brilliant not work at all in game, and being totally frustrating the player. And I remember sitting at my desk, having my fists bunched and saying, the door is right there. There's a blue glowy crystal on the door. The door is open. What are you waiting for? I think it's like you said. It's a crash course in game design and in interacting with the audience and in trying to work out what works and what doesn't work. And I think it's fascinating that a piece of software on the PlayStation allows that, allows to approach it that way and to really learn stuff that you would never have thought possible. So, this is a loaded question, of course, but if you had to put it in one point or in one sentence or in a couple of sentences, what does Dreams mean to you nowadays? Like looking back on all the development you've done in Dreams, what does Dreams mean to you, and how do you feel about it as a platform?
Actually, there's one short experience in Dreams that speaks about this.
Right.
Because somebody asked this question
that's right.
about a year
you made something about that, right?
And everybody did make a short film or something to answer the question, what does Dreams mean to you? And we said basically the one thing, and I would say that always again, it's the connecting thing. It's that we were able to be people all over the world and make a game together. We are in Germany, and Sean is in the UK, Andy is in America, and Ben is in Australia, and we are not in the same time zone.
Right, yeah.
One of us gets up and one of us goes to sleep, and we communicate over pieces of written words that we put into chats, and somebody gets up and reads them. And we still manage to make a game.
Yes, and I think I think maybe the most transformative thing about it is, this ties back to what I actually think makes it such a perfect match for this Play Festival here. I've been coming here for years now, and I've always been amazed at the amount of ideas present, at all the software I could discover here. Every time I went here, I came back with at least one new tool that I didn't know before, but there was such a thing as a natural limit to what I could possibly make with those tools, right? There were fantastic game design tools like Twine or Bitsy or Flick Game, but they were always not unlike a Little Big Planet, they were limited in what you can do with them. And you cannot possibly make a 3D game. You cannot possibly make something in VR. Now, the really transformative thing about Dreams was that I started fiddling around with it, thinking, I'll quickly grow bored of this. I'll put it aside because it's just too much work. I can't make anything. And then after a couple of hours, I would look up and there was something there. There was a world or a level or a little experience. And I thought, well, I made that. And I think this, Media Molecule themselves have called it the demystifying the act of creation. Making it clear that everybody can be a creator and that software should not stand in the way of creation but should enable it. That is something that is incredible about the whole concept of Dreams, and something that I think no other software has managed to achieve to quite the same degree. And I think that's the reason for teams of people being able suddenly to make nearly professional games who have never touched game design software before, because it's just that easy to approach. There's still a learning curve, and like if you keep looking at what Tim is doing right here, like what you're seeing here is somebody who's had a lot of practice with the tools and who has really honed their abilities with the tools to a mirror sheen. But it's possible to get there in that workflow, to make that happen and to create worlds like that. And I think that is really incredible. Like that is something that I don't think any other software has enabled in quite the same way, right?
Yeah, and even if you will never reach like the level of Tim, it's just fun to use. And I think when you watch Tim create, it's so organic, such an organic creation tool. But it's not only the sculpting part. That's the most popping feature. But not sure what Oliver is doing over there. But there's
Ich habe meinen Namen gehört.
We're still waiting for the sausage-spitting penguin, right?
Yeah, like the combination, everything is at one place. Like the creation tool, the music tool, the logic. So you can make everything you want on your PlayStation. It's kind of a sad story that it wasn't the success it should have been, I think, because it was not predatory. There were no microtransactions. There was no way to spend money in Dreams, and maybe it was not meant to be in the video game landscape we have. I'm not sure. Yeah, so like from our point of view, it's kind of a sad story. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, just the week before we're sitting here now, just last week, right? Media Molecule announced that they were going to lay off a fraction of their employees, and I think like for everybody passionate about Dreams and passionate about these tools, it's like it's an interesting time to be sure. Like we were all wondering whether this software will still be around next year, or whether the service will still be going next year. With that in mind, what do you think? Like, is it still worth it? Would you still get into it? Would you still advise people to give it a try?
I mean, if you have a PlayStation, it's on one of the PlayStation Plus tiers, a second one, I think. So if you already have that one, get it immediately. If not, I think it's permanently on sale for like $10 or something. If you want to check out a whole bunch, thousands of nice indie games from people from outside of the industry that who are thinking outside of the box, yeah, sure, get it. Do you really want to be really invested in the creation part? I don't know. How long will the software be around? It's fun, yeah, sure, use it, but it's worse because of the playing aspect alone.
Tim, I think you have some thoughts on that as well, right? If it should, like, is it still worth it? Will you still be creating in Dreams going forward?
I just love Dreams because it lets me create worlds and levels very fast. It lets me create art in the way I want to. It's like you're sculpting something in front of you, just using those. And I've just had the most fun in any creative tool ever with that. So I would like to use Dreams as long as it's available, really, because it's just like, I think Media Molecule once said, it's like when you use Dreams, it's like becoming a child again. It's like you would want to try out things. It's like you're just having fun playing around and creating something. And I think that's what Dreams does for most of us. It lets us create whatever we want. And for me, that's like creating worlds. I love creating worlds. And yeah, so I would never stop using Dreams, and I can recommend it to anyone who feels creative, who likes to do music or films or games or anything, really.
I think, yeah, like I think what you're doing right there now, like we can basically see what you said about it being such a powerful prototyping engine, right? Like it's so easy to come up with something in a very short amount of time. Yeah, look at that. Like this is Tim now going through the level he has just built with a character, right? And this is just the standard puppet he has stamped into the scene. I'm like, actually, I just kept glancing at this from the corner of my eye, and I'm actually shocked at your ability of creating these ruin landscapes. Like, this is actually my comfort food, my gaming comfort food, having these ruined landscapes. And now, yeah, Tim does something that's more advanced than anything I've ever done in Dreams. So that's hard to bear, but also really cool. And yeah, like you see, it's basically possible to just stamp a character in there and to just keep playing it. At the same time, and this is something that also ties back to the presence here at the festival, I would really like advise everybody at this point to maybe just get it, like even if you have no intention to create, to maybe just get it to get access to all the content that's already there, right?
I think I have to backpedal a bit, because I said not sure if it's worth still getting into the creation side. I think even if Sony will decide to shut down the servers at one point, you can still use the creation side of Dreams on your PlayStation. So, and people are prototyping on it, so it's still worth for that. Like people planning their wedding setups in Dreams because it's so easy, or like you can decorate the furniture at your home, like recreate your home and put stuff into it. So, and like for probably $5 on the PlayStation Store. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like an advertisement, but it's so a no-brainer if you have a PlayStation and you like to do stuff creatively, even if this journey we had or that the Dreams community had from the beginning will come to an end, kind of, probably, definitely. You can still use the creation side and do things with it, and that's worth it, I think.
Yeah, and I think like what you say about using it also for stuff that has nothing to do with game design, right? Like I remember being part of a project a while ago with artists, and of course, like being a fan of Dreams, I went there and thought it might be a cool idea to get the artists to do something with Dreams. Now that didn't quite work as intended, because they were fascinated with the possibilities, but they were also wary of having to pick up an entirely new set of software and to have to work with it. But in the end, like I remember there was one Lithuanian artist, and she made an installation, like a physical installation in the exhibition space, but she also wanted to have some kind of projection on there. And she had a very clear idea of what that projection was going to look like. She wanted these kinds of shapes that were hands but not hands, like you weren't supposed to be able to tell whether they were hands or plants. And she told us about that at the first day of the project, and we said, yeah, we will figure something out. We'll find some way to make that happen. We'll do something in the editing software, something like that. Now when the time came, we started messing around with various editing software suites and trying to build it as an effect in Photoshop, or trying to build it as an animation in the editing software. And then I had this idea to maybe just mock it up in Dreams. So I searched for a hand sculpt for somebody who had sculpted a functioning hand, and I just used that and put it in the scene and cranked a lever up to 100% to make it look stylized, and just showed it to her, and she said, that's it, that's what I'm looking for. So we ended up really building that projection for the installation using Dreams, which I think Dreams probably wasn't designed to do, but it worked really well. Like it became an interesting and playful and quick tool to do something completely unrelated, which I think was fantastic, because it shows that it's really also interesting if you have no intention of getting into game design at all.
Yeah, I'm always getting stuck on the game design side, because that's my passion. But we know people who support their pen and paper or tabletop games with it. Yeah, like when you can create maps in it, like star maps for your tabletop starship fighting games or something. If you have a campaign going on, and it's so, where else can you do that? Like with all the elements you need for it, like interactivity, audio, visuals. It's, yeah.
That's interesting that you say that, because that brings to mind another thing I realized. Like I also do workshops with young people, right? With teenagers, film workshops or media workshops, and like there's always that one kid that says, I want a tyrannosaur in the film, or I want there to be a huge action scene, or I want there to be a monster, or I want there to be a bomb. And the normal course of events during such short movie workshops is to say, we'll have to create a cheap version of it. Like somebody has to improvise a costume, or we'll just have to cut away to a still image, or we'll have to, we can't do it. We can't have a tyrannosaur. Where are we going to get a tyrannosaur from? We can't, when we want to bomb, if we want to bomb, we'll have to build it. And now one idea I had was, we can create cutscenes for these kind of projects, or scenes for these kind of projects using dreams. Because sure as heck, there is somebody who has sculpted a tyrannosaur in there. Sure as heck, there is somebody who has sculpted a bomb. So when one particular group of students wanted to do a scene where you are disarming a bomb, and you are seeing the bomb counting down the minutes, going from 9:59 to 0, and then counting down. That was something that was really quickly mocked up in Dreams and then captured using the share button, and then used in that film project as a scene. And I think it was better than building a bomb out of cardboard and colorful paper. That would have been nice, but wouldn't ultimately have looked convincing in the context of the scene.
Both has a charm, but like making things in Dreams is a bit like making things out of cardboard.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a kind of the same approach, like from when you watch him sculpt, it's a very physical activity. So
That's actually true. There's actually a haptic quality to it, and an improvised, playful quality to it. You're basically messing around with stuff. And it's not like, as you can see with what Tim is working on here, it's not very menu-centric. Like you do not start with a black screen and a belt of menus, but you start with a 3D world that you can manipulate, and you still have menus, yes, but it's far more far easier to just put something in the world, stamp something in the world, and then keep tweaking that and keep redesigning that. Like, it is fun to see because Tim is fully embracing the journey style once again, and which I know we are both big fans of, right? Like, quite a world for the sausage-spitting penguin to inhabit later on. So, Oliver, looking over to you for a second.
Yeah.
Like, you're more on the programming side of things, right? And you're
That's right.
Like you're one of the people who actually knew how to program beforehand, if I understand that correctly.
Yes.
Like, how has it? What has it been like to use Dream as a programming tool? Like, were you able to jump into it right away with what you already knew from programming? Was it easier? Was it harder?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, my history of programming is also started with Little Big Planet back there
Right.
when Media Molecule launched that. And that brought me actually to programming, which then brought me back to Dreams.
Okay.
Which, yeah, it's a similar logic. It works differently, but if you know how to program, then you pretty much also know how to program in Dreams. So you need to learn the basics, basically what a calculator does, or what AND gate and so much means. And yeah, you pretty much, if you understand that, you can pretty much use that logic of programming in Dreams. So you don't have to start over from everything you know. Yeah, it's pretty good to learn, I think.
And I like what you said about the logical connections, like the gates or like the decision processes going on behind the scenes. I think that is something, like I am somebody who is completely averse to programming. Like I cannot program the simplest stuff. But that is something that I've really taken away from it. Like to keep thinking about the decisions that are being made by the program behind the scenes, and to think of the game as a collection of decisions or a collection of forks in the road, so to speak.
Yeah.
And that is something I think that's really like you can really learn that beautifully using Dreams, because it really works like that, right? It really works like either that or that and that.
It does.
Like that.
Yeah.
Right. So Tim, can you show the entire scene real quick? Oh my God, this is really shaping up to be something.
Yeah, we can walk through it maybe. Let me just start from there. Alright, so I randomly started with this temple kind of scene. And I wanted to bring in a little bit of storytelling, so I brought these kind of mysterious runes, stones, or also the floating rocks, which can also make up some nice atmosphere in the background. And since we want to make a platform, I'm starting to kind of do some level design where maybe we will have to jump from rock to rock later on. So I just basically made one rock in the beginning, and that you can use to very quickly extend the level with. And so that's where we're starting to get right now. So this is also where playtesting comes in, because obviously right now we see that this rock is kind of not placed too well. So if we would jump now, we would fall and die. So we'll need to go back in. And
this, I think, is also, that's really important for somebody who has never used the software or seen the software, is that unlike many other game design suites, like there's no point at which you need to compile something and wait for it to render, and then you can playtest it, but you can really just stamp in a puppet at every point and just go into it and just playtest it live, right?
That's also the amazing thing about Dreams. Everything's real time. There's no rendering. You will see what you get straight from when you create it. And as you can see here, it's really fun to play around. You can just take one of those rocks, copy them around, and like that you can build a staircase like this here.
And like we talked about this jokingly before the show, but like you said, you always start with a rock. But I think this is also a really nice game designer takeaway from the process, is that, like, if you have one really solid asset at the beginning, like something that really is really versatile and can be used in many different ways, like that can be half of your level built for you, right?
Yeah, and in Dreams it's so fun because you can just take something and just make something completely different out of it. Like I could take this gate that I made here and just clone it like this and make a whole like tunnel. Or I could use it and maybe make a bridge out of it. And that way it's just really fun to play around with the tools and see where it's going from there.
Yeah, I think, like, especially for people who haven't seen the software yet, I think this must be quite impressive because it comes together so quickly. Like it really like, and I think it's also great proof of why this keeps dragging you in, because like just half an hour into it, you have something there, and you can really like you can already you cannot only imagine it as a playable space. It already is a playable space, and like you don't have like only a donut-shaped standard cube in the beginning, and you don't know what to do with it. But you really have something that already looks like a fully playable world, and also works as a fully playable world. So coming back to the entire Dreams community, or to the entire scene as Dreams, do you guys have that one special memory or that one special moment where you thought this is brilliant, I'll be thinking of this forever, or this is something that I really took away from this particular community or from this particular tool?
We always disagree on this.
What was that? Sorry? What did you say?
I said we always disagree on this because we take away different things.
But that's fine. Like you can like both of you can have their own favorite moment.
The thing is that I always have favorite moments. The second I interact with people about Dreams, it's my favorite moment.
All right.
Because everything is just positive. It is a lot like work, but it's like, imagine everybody shows up to work happy to do it. And that's basically it. So what's not to like?
Right.
And he always likes it when it's over.
Oh yeah. My favorite part of making a game is when it's done. so it's out. I don't have to worry about bugs anymore. I don't have to worry about keeping the whole game in my head and present. And my favorite moment was when we released our, not the last one, but the game before. And because in the Dreams community, everybody is always nice to each other. So positive feedback from the Dreams community is kind of a given. So we saw like someone who had a voice acting role in our game and was, or is a big Twitch streamer with like 6,000 people watching the stream. But they are all these people were not in the Dreams community. And watching the stream, and the feedback was so good, and all the story beats like hit. And the humor hit, and it was like a big party for like, what was it, 6 hours or something? It was a really long stream, and it's hard to imagine, but that was a really great moment. Yeah.
But that's interesting because that also connects to something I wanted to mention, like Dreams being a closed ecosystem. Also, like you said, positive feedback from the Dreams community is often a given because everybody is.
So it's not bad.
No, it's great. No, it's
yeah.
great. It's great for many reasons. But it's also like it has this kind of like there's a I think it's a double-sided thing because on the one hand it's fantastic that it's this wholesome, constructive community, but at the same time I think like when you said before that Dreams was basically a game developer simulator, right? It is in a sense that you get lots of, like you get a really good idea of what being a game developer is like, and you become a game developer to some degree. But like what I always thought was when people kept complaining about there not being a way to monetize your creations, because that would keep them back or hold them back from becoming really successful. I always thought of what I knew from game designers who weren't working in Dreams but in other software, like it's not that if you can monetize your game, you're automatically successful. Like there are people who are building fantastic content in other engines, and they put it up on itch or on Steam or on GOG, and still it gets completely ignored because there are millions and millions and millions of games there. And so whenever, like even when I myself was unhappy with the amount of attention I was getting for my games, I had always had to remind myself that for me this is now earth-shatteringly important. Like I really want this game to be successful in the Dreams ecosphere, but for somebody who programs games for a living, like your game getting ignored is just another day at the office, right? Like that's often the normal experience. And so in a sense, like you said, that's not negative, but in a sense that also I think shows what a blessed space for exploration and for improvisation Dreams basically was, because it came with a built-in and comes with a built-in audience.
Yeah, and people who create in Dreams know what is easy and what is hard, and always appreciate the effort you're putting in. But sometimes you want feedback from people who don't care about that, right. Who just play your game, as a video game, not something they can relate to because they're working in the same space. So getting positive feedback from people outside of the Dreams bubble in that amount was very special. So not the Dreams peeps feedback is great for other reasons. So
right. Yeah. So looking over to you, Tim and Oliver again, do you have, like, back to my original question, do you guys have a special memory or one special moment where you say this was really something that I keep thinking of and remembering because it was such a special occasion for me?
So, Isham?
Yeah.
So for me, I would say it's definitely also the community aspect that's very memorable, special events like this and just meeting other creators, collaborative kind of effort to bring something to life, and that in general as well. You basically, you know, in Dreams, you build stuff from scratch, from nothing, and you bring something to life in 3D, and I think that's a very fulfilling process to me. And if you do that and can share that with others, that's the most wonderful thing. And when you then create a world, in my case, and then you bring someone in who's good at making the mechanics, like him, or someone who does the music or the animations, like coming together like this and creating something is truly incredible and fulfilling to me. I would say that's it for me. And yeah, then also, I guess just little things like I've started with this just because I was fascinated by it. I got really into it, and then I got chances to work with Sony Music, for example. Just like opportunities like this is really incredible to me.
And like also basically spinning your Dreams, your career as a Dreams creator into an actual career as an artist, right? Like working for Womp 3D, working for customers, and basically arriving at this station because you started out sculpting stuff in Dreams.
Yeah.
Oliver, what about you? What's your special moment, if there is one?
It's pretty the same. I just love the community aspect of Dreams. the best memories I have from Dreams are the events that I took part of. So it was like the launch event we had. We met every dreamer. It was just, yeah, that's basically the moment we known each other. That was the first time we saw each other and known each other. And then, yeah, pretty much we had last year how was it? I forgot the name, but the one festival that we have that we teach other young people to what Dreams is, and that was just an amazing memory. And yeah, it's always like the moments like this that are just pretty much in my head when I think about Dreams. So yeah, that and the community aspect in the internet. I mean, you can just pretty much, if you have a problem or if you need help, you can just ask someone in the internet, and there will, with 100%, someone write you a message and help you. So it's just a great community. And as a developer, it's not that easy in the developer world. You get a lot of help there too, but in Dreams it's just something, more personal. It just works better.
Yeah, I think that's, I totally agree. I think that's really fascinating about it, like also getting to know people through the medium of developing games or playtesting each other's stuff or something. Like I've been I would say in a very productive playtesting relationship with a couple of people on Dreams, like people like Kamian or Vector Slinger, and we keep sending each other stuff to playtest, right? And this is so fun because in the, shout out to Vector Slinger and Kamian, by the way, but like Vector Slinger, for instance, lives in Australia. And so we are always awake on opposite times of the day. Like we always have these 1 or 2 hours where we are awake at the same time. And so when we're currently developing stuff, like we would end the day by sending off the last version to each other, and like when I'm playing through the stuff that he has designed and I'm sending stuff back with these guys. That's really fantastic. I think that's really a great way of collaborating with people who you probably wouldn't have met otherwise, and who, like, I think, Lotte, you said something that's very true, like everybody is a fan of everybody else. So that makes stuff really easy because people approach you and say, I really liked your game, and I thought you might like this as well. And usually it's not just an attempt to garner interaction or just to sell your game to them, but it's really like, normally it is that way. Like if they appreciated your stuff and they do something in the same vein and they send it to you, like it really is most likely the case that you'll like that as well and interact with that as well.
There was a really creative atmosphere for a long time there. It was like a bit, I said this somewhere else, but it was a bit like starting university. In a creative university thing, obviously not in medicine, where you just learn things. Just like, you get to know people, you get to know what they do, you look at it like, you look at each other like, and then it's just like, oh, we like each other, let's do things together. And that was nice. It must be, and there was the pandemic in between, where nobody else could go out and do things with people, and so it was really easy to say we just do things with people all over the world.
That's really great that you bring that up, because I think, like, there's been this argument about whether the pandemic might have hurt Dreams or not. I personally come down on the side of people who are saying that, if anything, it probably benefited Dreams.
Yeah, I never heard that. I always heard people who said, I would have died without this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think both is true. Like, people felt connected through Dreams during COVID, but many people were like on a very bad state of mind and didn't feel very creative on the other hand. So maybe it was 50-50, not sure. But I think people were happy with playing Animal Crossing instead of creating things while sitting at home. So yeah, maybe it did hurt it a bit. Yeah.
I mean, this is highly anecdotal evidence, right? Because I'm mostly speaking from my own experience here. But I remember it coming out, and it was something I had been following for years at that point, because I was pretty sure that what they had set out to do couldn't be done. Like, they said they were going to make a creation suite that could be used to make anything. And I thought, yeah, fat chance, like that's never going to happen. But I was really interested. And then it came out right as the pandemic hit. And so I bought it. And under normal circumstances, I think I would have maybe put a week into it and have played around with it a bit. But ultimately, I think I would have bounced off it because I wouldn't have had the time to get to know the tools. I wouldn't have been patient enough. But with the pandemic, basically making everything else obsolete, like there was nothing taking place, everything was cancelled, no conferences, no face-to-face situations, and suddenly there was this thing that could be used as a release, as a creative release, and I could justify just spending 3 weeks straight on that. I could just jump in there and say, well, it's kind of work-related, so might just give it a go. And when I next looked up, I had, I think, racked up 1,000 hours of Dreams usage. And I think that would never have happened in another set of circumstances. So Oliver, how's the sausage-spitting penguin coming along?
The penguin spits the sausages already.
This is so bad that we can only, like, the audience gets to see it, but we still don't know what the sausage-spitting penguin will be.
Yeah,
like.
you have to wait a few minutes more.
Awesome. What else did I want to talk about? Let me think. Do we have, before I continue talking, do we maybe have questions from the audience? Does somebody have any questions about Dreams or to the creators here? Yes, Matt. Oh, that's a great question. Is there a limit? Because this also ties back to the current state of the software. Like, when it was originally released, there wasn't a limit, like for the amount of creations you could make overall. And one of the developments due to the server migration is that you now have a limit. If you start from scratch, you have a limit of, I think, 5 gigabytes, right? 5 gigabytes is the limit. It has to be said, though, that creations in Dreams are usually fairly small. Like a finished game will not have, I don't know, a gigabyte or something like that, but a finished game can already be realized with a much smaller set of data. So that 5 gigabytes should last you for a long while, but it is a limit where there wasn't a limit before. I think it's fair to say that.
But was the question about like how many creations you can have in Dreams, or how many things you can have in one creation?
Oh yeah, good point. Like, was it more about the overall file size, or was it how much can you do in that one scene? Oh, right, because there's a different answer to that. There is a limit. It's called the thermo, and maybe Tim, you can just show us the thermo settings. Yeah, there. Like, you have this thermo, and it's divided into graphics, gameplay, and sound. Now, sound is self-explanatory. Graphics is basically the amount of sculpts, of different objects you have in the scene, the amount of paintings you have in the scene, and gameplay is basically the amount of different objects, different assets. Like if you like Tim does, if you make a rock and clone it 100 times, that will only count against the graphics thermo once, but it will keep counting against the gameplay thermo, because with each object that thermo keeps racking up. But that being said, this like, there is a limit, but it's still, I think it's fair to say that it still allows you quite a lot of stuff.
When we started Dreams, like I always say, every Pick Detective scene has 99% graphics thermo maxed out.
Right.
From the first scene we made, which looks like nothing, to the most recent game, which looks pretty good, I would say. So when you start, you always think, yeah, how should I do? Can I do anything inside the thermo limit? Because it maxes out so fast. Right. But you learn to work with it. You learn the tricks, and suddenly you're able to make really big scenes with lots of details and lots of stuff going on with the same amount of thermo. So it's a learning curve, and even if you're like maxing out one scene, you can connect multiple scenes into one big game. And Dreams, as long as the servers are up, is really, really fast when it comes to loading the next scene. When you're starting a scene, the game already starts loading the next scene, the connected one. So when you, like in our case, we were building a big mansion, English countryside manor. So the character approaches the door, opens the door, and the next scene is instantly there. So these scenes are different from a creation perspective, and if you have really bad internet, there will be probably some delay. But in usual cases, it's really, really fast, and there's no noticeable difference or like delay in going from one scene to the next. So even if you're maxing out one, like shift things in the next scene, it always works. So yeah.
Like it really helps to, like, you can of course work differently, but it really helps to think of different levels as different scenes, or different locations as different scenes that you can link together. At the same time, I'm always fascinated by people who are really, really good at optimizing their stuff, because they can then basically build an entire game in one scene. Like, I think Lock would be a prime example of that. Like, Lock is a fully realized riddle puzzle solving game set on an island, and you keep going around the island, and the island has a museum. It has something that looks like a hut but becomes a really big mansion on the inside. And like, this is a thing that's been realized in one scene only. So the creator, I think it's 800 Pixel Gorilla, right? Yeah, has made a sprawling game, a sprawling indie game that will keep you occupied for hours on end, and it's all one scene, aka one level in Dreams. Like, it's really a marvel how we managed to achieve that.
Yeah, and I think it's a difference in like how do you approach you're making a game in Dreams, because our approach is very different. Like, we max out every scene, so every room in the mansion is always one scene. We don't want to make everything in one scene. So and as I said, this is something you only know when you're creating in Dreams. And best case is if you're a player, you don't even notice. You don't notice the incredible amount that Pixel Gorilla put into Lock, and you don't notice our approach either. So, but it's only something that's relevant for the creator.
And I think there's even a third side to that. Like, yeah, there's the incredibly efficient, optimized experience, and there's the maximalist, maxing everything out because you can. And there's also, like, my approach basically is, because I've never learned to optimize properly. So my approach is that I always end up with maxed out scenes as well. And they are not even that great, but the fantastic thing is that it still works, right? You can still link it together, you can still put it together as one experience, and it will still work. And I think that is something that I love about Dreams as well, is that, yes, it wants you to learn the tools, and you have to learn them to some degree, but you can also, like, you can get quite some mileage out of just messing around. Like, there's nothing forcing you to become really good at it. You can build quite a lot of stuff if you're only slightly good at it, or if you're only slightly competent at it. And I think that's a far cry from different suites of software where you basically, if you are not really trained using them, and if you're not really good at them, you basically won't be able to make a working game or working prototype.
No, that is true. Everything worked from the beginning. The first thing we did was Pick Detective approaches table, right. Duck is behind the table, Pick Detective asks for cheese, cheese appears on the table. And that's the moment when Sebastian came to me and said, look, I made something, the cheese.
Like, I remember, it's a scene, it's floating in empty space, right? There's just the empty space, but there's this suggested room, and then you have this basic scene. Yeah, it's on the table, right, but like, I think that's so, like, that illustrates what I said earlier. Like, it's the process is so great because there is something there and you can iterate on that. Like, it's not that you have to learn tons of stuff and then you can maybe start to make the final version, but you can just start out with something that is slapdash and improvised and that just barely works, but it works, and then you can always make that prettier or make that more efficient.
Exactly.
Or
you
make that, yeah. Like
you can get better all the time, but the cheese is on the table from the moment go.
Yeah, and you would have abandoned the whole project if you hadn't gotten to the point where there's something that you can already see the game works in principle.
Yeah.
And that's so great that it's just all a project, a process of iteration and of trying to get things better and prettier, but the basics were there from the start. And like, the magic moment was when the cheese was on the table and you could pick it up, as it were. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then you can pick it up.
Yeah. Like Tim, what's happening with the monster face over there? I keep seeing that out of the corner of my eye.
I don't know, I just wanted to bring in some more storytelling, just sculpted something, maybe it was one of their ancient gods of winter or ice. Or
the wintry adventure with the penguin has taken a dramatic turn for the, for the sinister, I'd say.
Yeah, and here we are actually planning like a sliding passage that he's programming right now, hopefully. So we'll see how that works, and then...
Right. And in the spirit of Souls-likes, you'll have to shoot sausages at moving targets while sliding down the passage, obviously.
Doesn't that sound great?
Now, one thing I wanted to discuss with you all, because like we said, it has been a fantastic, creative, interesting 3 years so far. Now we're in a complicated situation. Where do we go from here? What's like? Let's maybe look a little bit into the crystal ball. Like, what will our approaches be? What will we do? Is there a life beyond dreams? Is there a future for dreams, even if it's no longer being supported by Media Molecule? Is there something else? What are our options now?
Who knows? I mean, it is a tool. It started as a tool. There was nothing created in Dreams. They gave us a tool and said you can create everything. So basically they gave us a bunch of pens. And in the last couple of years, people wrote a lot of stuff and painted things. Right. And now there's a library and you can go in there and look at the things people did. You can play the things, you can read them, you can listen to them. It's still the tool. The pens are still there. You can pick up the pens and you can create for yourself. So it actually depends on what you want. If you want to play a lot of things, go there. There's really a lot now, and there's really good things there. So it's worth it for that alone. What are they doing?
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful point. Like the tool is still there, and your creativity that you put into it is still there as well, right? So it's still something that you can get some use out of.
When you just an hour ago or so you asked, do you recommend it to people? Because we don't know what the future is. And that's like saying, do you recommend to people to pick up a pen?
Right.
If hypothetically there was the chance that the pen is going to disappear next year, or would you encourage them to go to the library and read if the library might happen to disappear next year? Would you still? Yeah, of course you would. Yeah. I mean, it's still there, use it. If you think you just want to learn something that will pay off in the future, maybe not. But if you just want to exercise your creativity and if you just want to look at things that other people did, do it. Because it's great. There's so many great things in there. And it's really easy to learn, so. I mean, it doesn't look easy when Tim does it. So.
I mean, the sort of Damocles is like the servers. So if you're just planning to have an easy creative outlet, Dreams is awesome. It's a perfect creative outlet, at least for me and for many other people. As soon as you start uploading things to the Dreamiverse, maybe releasing a game, you risk losing it at some point if Sony randomly decides to shut down the servers. I mean, you can download it, but you only have like 1 gig of space on your hard drive, so there's a limit. Yeah, it's hard to say.
I lost so many photographs when the medium just disappeared. I lost so many stories that I wrote because I don't have anything that I can stick a disk into. Everything I've not printed out is not there anymore.
Yeah, but I think, that for me, that's one of the points where it becomes complicated for me. Because on the one hand, I would perfectly agree with the both of you. Like, as a toolkit, it remains important and fantastic and hugely enjoyable. And it will still be hugely enjoyable if it's just available on my own hard drive. That's totally true. It will still be just as versatile, and I will be able to sculpt stuff with it, which is fantastic. At the same time, the moment I am basically dreading a bit is when they decide to turn the servers off, and then everything I've made in there will be gone. Like, it shows that we've never really owned our creations in the sense that we get to have a final say about what happens with them, right? Like they are, like you can basically make a hard copy on your 1 gigabyte of drive space that you have, but like I'm slowly preparing myself for the reality where they'll flip a switch and the multi-chapter game I've been beavering away on for 3 years at this point will just be wiped out of existence. And I, for one, am pretty sure that I will not be going back into, oh, that's clever of you, Oliver, that's very clever. Inside joke. I, for one, will not be learning Unreal Engine. I, for one, will not be learning Godot or Unity. Because I don't have the head for it, and I don't have the patience, and I'm easily frustrated, and I have the attention span of a chimpanzee on fire. So there's no chance of me rebuilding what I made in Dreams anywhere else, unless the software situation improves dramatically. So that's basically an emotional moment that I'm preparing myself for, when they really decide to flip the switch and the content evaporates.
I mean, we as game creators are the most affected by an eventual server shutdown. If you're planning to only make like short films, music, stills in Dreams, you're fine, because you can still export your music. You don't need a server for that. You can still export your pictures. You don't need a server for that, and you can still export your videos. So only we as the game creators that rely on the online community and the server space are really affected. So it's still an awesome creative outlet tool. So yeah, it's really a no-brainer to get it if you have a PlayStation. But
that's true. That's true, though. That's an important distinction to make, because depending on what you are creating, you're actually this is very cool, by the way. Depending on what you're going to make or what your main focus is with the platform, it's very different how much you'll be affected by it. But maybe like meanwhile back at the farm, but maybe we should take a quick look at how the game is progressing, because people seem to be quite enjoying it here in the audience.
We have the penguin, and he can spill the sausages, but...
Okay, so we have winter, and we have the penguin.
There's a problem.
There's a problem with where sliding is suddenly flying.
He's like Superman. So yeah, now we come to bug fixing.
All right, but the good news is that you guys still have some time to iron out the last problems. In the meantime, let me extend the question to you guys as well. Like, what kind of future do you see for your own creations in Dreams, without Dreams, beyond Dreams? What is there? What's your plan? Do you have a contingency plan for how things will shake out?
Not really. I often think about learning some real game engines, but every time I try to learn something there or do something there, I just think I could just make it in Dreams 100 times faster.
Yeah.
So it always brings me back to Dreams. So I think there is no escaping from Dreams once you start. So I will stay as long as Dream exists.
Yeah, I'm quite fortunate that you can just export images and videos, and that's the main thing I do. So basically all my art I can export. And my main focus is on creating a short film, animated short in Dreams. And yeah, I can just export that out, so that's really good. And here we can also, just what he mentioned is like, you can create things in Dreams so fast. We've seen basically a whole level or world come to life, even though it's a bit messy. But in other engines, you would maybe need days for one prop. And here you can like build whole worlds within hours. So it's just crazy how Dreams allows you to build things so fast, to just have your vision and then bring it to life in 3D. And that's what I will keep doing as long as I can with Dreams.
In fact, basically, I think that's maybe the thing I'm most afraid of. Like beyond the care for my own creations or beyond the danger for the community, I think what I fear most is that this particular thing, this thought that a piece of software is so the production pipeline is so smoothed out and is so easy to get into that is something that gets lost, because I'm really not seeing that in different software. I'm really not seeing that in other tools. Like there are some aspects of that, like the way sculpting works in Dreams, for example. That is fortunately being picked up by software like WOMP or by engines like Unbound that are in development now, that you really use natural feeling shapes and stamp everything out of these shapes or tweak these shapes to create stuff. That is something I think that is being more widely adopted in other tool sets right now. But this idea of being able to create an entire experience in the same workflow and to basically even edit the cutscenes in engine, in the world, to compose the music while you're in the scene. And like I told you earlier, Tim, like you asked me when I was creating, whether I was putting on some music in the background or something like that. And that's not what I do. I always build the level ambience. Like if I'm trying to make a scene set in a forest, before I have anything else, like before I have even started to sculpt anything, I create the sound ambience behind it. So I have this ambience of rustling trees and of bird song and of the wind blowing through the forest. And that I just keep that that keeps playing as I edit in real time, because that really makes me feel like the situation I want to create. And that's like something, if I had to cancel out of the sound editor to go into the graphics editor and then cancel out of that to fix the programming, I think I would never even bother, because that's just such a chaos.
On the graphics side, people use so many different programs usually, and here you can do it all in once. You can build your world, you can create your character, you can animate it, you can bring in your music. It's all connected into one creative tool, and you can all do it with motion, and that is so fascinating because, for example, you need to imagine in other 3D engines, it's like when you want to rotate a shape, you need to rotate it on one axis, then on the other axis, and that takes a lot of time. And in Dreams, I can just move my hands to get it into the right position, and that's truly incredible, what nothing else can really compare with. It's just so much faster, so much more intuitive, so much more artistic, and that's what I really love about Dreams.
And also, this is something we haven't even talked about yet, but I remember that I realized that this is one of my magic moments. Like, all of this is also technically VR compatible. Like, I think that was one moment where it really Dreams utterly blew me away. We had just picked up an old PlayStation VR headset because we thought it would be cool to have one for, like, there are certain games in VR that are really good at shows or at festivals, like things like Eagle Flight, where you're flying from the perspective of an eagle across the city of Paris. And so then Dreams came out with a VR update, and you were told that, you can maybe create your stuff in VR now. And then I opened up my game that I had played completely without any thoughts to VR, and I opened it up with a headset, and I was standing inside a world that I had crafted myself. Now, it was a world that was dodgy as heck and looked all kinds of weird, but I was standing inside of it. And I was looking around and seeing the tower I had created in the distance, and I think that was really a moment that completely blew me away, that being able, like, just 2 years before I had my first, or 3 years before I had my first VR experience altogether here at Play Festival. I remember that quite well, and how magical that felt. And then 3 years on, I was standing inside a world that I had created myself without any plan for ever doing something in VR ever. Like, that is something that I could not have imagined before. And that just worked. Like, you just stepped into that and it just worked, and it was fascinating. So the penguin is sliding now, right?
Kind of.
Kind of. Like this.
There's a drift to the left.
For people who don't know Dreams, like, this is funny because this is actually Mega Penguin, one of the characters created by Media Molecule. And the idea back then was, I think, to create a character and to give the character to the community and just say, everybody who wants to participate can use Mega Penguin in their own level creations, and then just string those community creations together and build one huge game out of it. And I didn't follow it quite that closely, but I think it never took off as much as other community projects. Like, there were a couple of cool levels, but I think it never was as much of a success as, I don't know, the Halloween themed events or like the Dreamscom events.
That's very different things, though. In the other events, you were asked to showcase your own work in a way.
That's true. That's true.
And they try to make it accessible for people who wanted to do very different things, very different kinds of platformers. But it's still basically it's a platforming character.
Right, yeah.
So if you
basically,
don't,
in a way, it's very much Little Big Planet over again, right? You can do what you want, but you always do it refracted through the lens of it being a platformer or using a platform.
I don't mean it in a bad way. That's just what I'm saying. This is why not as many people did a Mega Penguin level as participated in the Halloween things, because everybody can do something for Halloween, but to make a Mega Penguin game, you have to do basically level designing and things, and not everybody does that. Not everybody is a games creator.
Yeah, right.
Not every creator creates games.
Right.
And it's kind of an attempt to make people who want to do it with less. Less
of a hassle, right? That was always like, there was a, last year or so, there was a marked tendency by Media Molecule to offer more templates and more ready-made recipes for game creation. Like, I see what they were trying to do there, and I appreciate the fact that a lot of users might probably have benefited from that. But for me personally, I always felt like I was already quite happy being given the toolkit and just be left alone to mess around with it.
Completely different audiences.
Yeah.
we talked about how easy Dreams is, and if somebody new to Dreams will get it and then will shout at us because it's not easy. It's a creation tool. It's not easy. So it's just easier than others. So I get why Media Molecule was trying to give new players as many templates as possible, and maybe new players really were using it. But at that point, I think the triple in of new players was really low, and we had a really like a solid established user base that were already way beyond templates. So
it's really sad because it's a really great character. He can do different things. He doesn't just flex.
The character, like,
he also wants to go home.
Say what you want about Media Molecule, but they are always really on point when it comes to designing characters that are weird and interesting and funny and all kinds of engaging. But what you said about it not actually being easy, Sebastian, I can of course echo that, right? No creation tool of this scope can ever really conceivably be easy, I would say. I think it was like it was actually really easier than many other suites of creation software, but I think that was not the main point while it worked so well. I think the main point while it works so well is that it makes you, it ropes you into creating stuff. Like, it starts off with these weird little playful exercises, and it says, hey, maybe make your own little jungle, or hey, maybe place some assets over here, and before long you really discover that you have done something. And I think that's where it differs from, I don't know, Unreal Engine. Like, Unreal Engine doesn't care a whit if you place something. And Unreal Engine doesn't want you to make a little jungle. And for industry pros, that's probably an advantage because they already know what they want going into it. But for somebody who's just wanting to explore stuff, it's really cool to be enticed to create something and really be shown that they can create something. And I think that maybe I would wish for the future, I would wish for more software, more creation software to adapt that to that point of view, like seeing itself as an enabler of creativity, not so much as just an industry standard, but also as something that enables creativity in people.
I mean, that is something we can speculate about. Like, Dreams is only on PlayStation. There was always voices from inside and outside the community, please bring Dreams to PC. And in my Media Molecule / Sony, Media Molecule developed Dreams over 10 years or longer even. Will we ever see anything like this on PC? I don't know. Was it just like lightning in a bottle, and that's was it? That's a big chance. That's an all-in-one's creativity empowering tool set. But maybe somebody else will pick up like the lantern. What's the phrase? like the sword, and when we'll do something similar. I don't know. It's such a big effort to create something like this.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's such a lot to unpack there, because one, I think like there was when they originally announced that we are halting live development, right? There was a huge outcry in the community, and everybody was really, really shocked and upset. And I remember there being a roundtable, the last episode of the Made in Dreams podcast, and there was a big roundtable with all kinds of creators speaking up. And I think like I loved the takeaway that the take they had, that they said, whatever happens now, Dreams has to be considered a triumph, because Media Molecule got Sony to give them millions and millions of dollars and 10 years to make their dream project, which was Dreams, and their attempt at a creative engine, and whatever else happened after that was basically just bonus. And this to enable, like to get a huge publisher like Sony to spend the money on this was a triumph, and to make something possible, like that's where the lightning in a bottle comparison comes in. Like this was such a special set of circumstances, and that Media Molecule managed to convince Sony to do this at all is already a triumph. That being said, regarding the question of whether it should have gotten a PC port and whether that would have changed anything, I have a very clear-cut opinion on that. For me, I think it would have changed the world, because it would have opened up Dreams to all kinds of audiences that it will never be open to now. Because when I look at it from the angle of education, and from the angle of media literacy, and from the angle of being able to use it in schools or in youth work, or even here in the confines of this festival, like it was always a problem that it was trapped on the PlayStation, that it was trapped on one console, in one built-in walled garden. Like if I go to a German school and somebody is willing, like a teacher is willing to do something with game design, that's already quite a big ask. But if I then tell them, well, there's this really great tool and it's on a PlayStation, that's when that project dies then and there, because no school will ever buy a PlayStation in order to offer a game design course. Now, had I been able to say there's this really great software and it's available on PC, and maybe it's not even for free, but it's available, and you can possibly run it on your PC or on the tablets you have for your school, then would have in one fell swoop have opened up Dreams to the entire audience in the education system. Now, maybe Sony never wanted that. Probably Sony never wanted that, because they're not in the business of creating education software. But like for media educators, that would have been a godsend, because they would finally have been able to offer a kind of software that doesn't really exist anywhere else. And so I think from a purely professional perspective, and from a very particular professional perspective, that would have been a world of difference, because it would have opened up Dreams to educators, to artists, to teachers, to all kinds of people who can now look on from the sidelines, but will probably never be able to really make the most of it. So it would also have enabled all of us to have our games on PC, and to maybe export them, and to maybe market them independently. But like looking at it from a purely media education perspective, that would have been a world of difference, I think. And yeah, it's like we're lucky to be able to showcase it this year here, maybe in its waning years, because it's still, as you all said, it's still a fantastic tool, and it's still a fantastic suite of creation software, and we hope the servers stay on for as long as they possibly can, because this is something that also occurred to me right now. Like, not only will I be unhappy for my own creations, but there are quite a few creations from other people that I would really be sad to no longer have access to.
I still play mine a day every day.
Yeah.
Not today, because we don't have a PlayStation in our hotel room. Sorry, Dorian.
Yeah. Like stuff that you can play every day, like mine a day. I think of stuff like like God's Lie from Vector Slinger, which is one of my absolute favorite games from the last couple of years. I'm obsessed with that game. Like I've played that so many times. Stuff like the Pig Detective games that I know I would want to play years from now. Like you replay old LucasArts graphic adventures. I know I will want to replay Pig Detective games. Now I hope I'll be able to do that for a good long while. But this will really be a massive loss for the community as well when these games are no longer available. Which is why I would like to anybody interested in indie games at all, I would say buy that piece of software, because for the time being you'll be able to access a wealth of indie games, like a massive pile of indie games that are really worth your time. So gentlemen, I see a sausage. That bodes well for our quest of having a game about a sausage-spitting penguin. And you can collect stuff, which is also always good. Were you able to sort out the sliding issue?
Oh my god. Yeah, he's really incredible. He just made basically an ice block, and the ice block is melting when we shoot it with sausages.
All right.
And he's
like
also
ice
made
blocks
some
I want
jump
to do.
Oh, yeah, that's the...
Yeah, like you, I mean, I think like you in the audience have had the great benefit of being able to really see this take shape in real time, and I think this is really a great testament both to the versatility of the toolkit, but also to the versatility of Tim and Oliver here for being able to knock something out like that, right? So maybe we should basically before we wind this up, maybe we should basically use this moment for an extended playtesting session, Oliver. Or do you still have anything to work out?
I mean, yeah, we can try.
Do we need a level exit, I wonder?
The sliding doesn't work, so we don't come there, but...
Doch, we can just walk down. I mean, Wait. 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
I
all
have an idea.
Right. Well, when I have to somehow fill 5 minutes, let me just look to the audience again. Any questions or anything you would like to know, or maybe something you would like to see added to the game last minute?
The sausage needs sound.
The sausage needs what?
Sound. Exactly.
A sausage sound. I mean, you can record it.
Oh, no.
Like, I'm pretty sure there should be something in the collection called the junk cupboard. Like that's if I remember correctly, that's the sound collection that never gets used for anything, but it has some like it should have some kind of squirty sound. It doesn't even make sound here, so it's not as important to. I'll have to head in there afterwards and build the sound ambience for it all. Like, what I really love about this also is the juxtaposition of this journey-like ethereal temple landscape, and then this buffed out penguin shooting sausages. Like, I feel like that is the kind of eclecticism that is perfectly suited to the Play Festival, actually. Like, sausage-spitting penguins seem very, very much in the spirit of the festival. Or is it a serious game? Right, we still need some serious, a serious storyline or something like that.
Why does he do that?
Yeah. Who asked for the sausage spitting? But yeah, I think you can really see how impressive it is that something like that has been taking shape in such a short amount of time, and like for that alone, and for the prototyping abilities alone, I think it's still worthwhile, and for the access to the many experiences that are there now. Incidentally, let me also point out that as well, because this is important for the rest of the festival. All the time up until this show and after this show again, hopefully, there'll be a Dream Station as part of the exhibition, and for that we have curated a list of particularly excellent games from the Dreamyverse. Now this is only the tip of the iceberg, so there's 30 games on there that are very cool and very good, but it's also just a small fraction of the playable experiences that are available in the Dreamyverse. And so if you are at all interested in indie games, and if maybe you already own a copy of Dreams, please check out the creations in the Dreamyverse, because they are really quite fantastic. And who knows, you might even find another game about a sausage-spitting penguin. Like maybe it has been done before. Are the 5 minutes over already, Oliver? Okay, right.
You can check it.
I can check it out. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So yeah, sausage spitting works with L2
Figure out the sausage
with L2. L2. Nah, that's R.
Take that.
And you can go full auto if you hold R1 and press L2 then.
Oh, right. Oh, there's turbo fire.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Oh my god.
that was high.
Yeah, you were not supposed to be up there, but whatever, right?
So yeah, these ice blocks there they can melt if you shoot sausages on. Not not this one, that one here. Yeah. Yeah, you have to go a bit. Yeah.
Wird denn größer skaliert?
Yeah. So, and there pops a coin out. So these are our jump pads, and yeah,
They're a bit too crazy for the level.
very
but-
crazy. Not anymore. Yeah, just works perfectly. You have to go down and then up again, I think. Or you make it like that.
Oh, but there's a
I like how they're still laying around for a longer time.
Yeah, and you destroyed the ice block. Too many sausages. Doesn't respond anymore, yeah.
Look, there's your play.
Gamer skills.
Common skill issue, I would say, yeah.
Yeah, that's the wrong way.
It's rough.
Yeah. I mean, we have 20 minutes left. You have enough time.
Yes.
I think I'll leave the sausages.
Yeah.
We'll let that count.
Well, no checkpoints.
It's a hardcore mode. Alright, he's getting better.
Yeah, it's better.
Yay. Nice. No, that was in the way.
But it works. Maybe don't go full auto fire because.
All right.
Yeah, here you can lean down by pressing R2, I think.
Which one?
R2. And you can. Then you can shoot from the bottom, so
All right.
if you don't.
Um,
Yeah, we see it just works. Yeah, we reach at the end. There's no.
With R2.
Almost.
He's a very fast penguin.
Yeah.
Incredible. It's the ultimate attack. Sausage circle.
All right. I think this really deserves a resounding round of applause.
Thank you.
We hope you guys enjoyed the process and saw maybe the potential rather than perfect final creation.
And like, I think we'll figure out some way to release this on the Dreamweverse just now, right? Because this must be
Game of the Year.
Released. This must be released. This must be released for posterity.
Right? Contender.
I think I think the festival would be quite happy for us not to take too long and to be in time for the next upcoming program slot. So maybe let's for one last round. Let's maybe just have one more round of final thoughts, or of where do we go from here? What do we take away from here? How will we what will we be doing in the immediate future, with or without Dreams? What are our next plans? Are there any plans? What's going to happen? And I'm looking for you first, Sebastian and Lotte, because I'm very much hoping that there will be some kind of Pick Detective content yet to be released.
Yeah, we planned for 9 games.
9 games?
Yeah, 9.
Okay, so we're down 4, so that means another 5, right?
Also, yeah. But that was when Dreams had a 10 years plan, so. And we thought we'd take about 1 year to make a game, so. Maybe one other?
But you are still working on something.
We are actually still working on it, yep.
Yeah, we're still working on the next one. So we definitely want to wrap up the cliffhanger from the previous game. And everything after that we will see in what state Dreams is in a year or so. And when the Dream servers will get shut down, we will return to not making video games, I think, because I'm not seeing myself picking up anything professional. Maybe some kind of Dream successor will come along and we will continue, but we use Dreams because it's Dreams, and it's the perfect way for us to express ourselves, and there's no replacement in Seit yet.
Right. Tim, Olli, any ongoing projects on your side?
Yeah, as I've said, I've been working on an animation short film, and I can see myself doing them for a long time. Because it's just so much fun to create, and I can fully embrace my art style with it. In Dreams you can do 3D sculpting, but also you can paint with 2D in a 3D space, and I really love that. And I'm kind of going for an arcane kind of style with it, where I hand paint my models as well. And yeah, I have a lot of ideas, lots of plans. It's just a question with games, because how many people will there still be to play them? And so it's a bit hard with that, but I will definitely still be doing concept art and films and animation, all of that stuff.
And I think this would also be the right place to mention that your first short film and a wealth of content, of animations, of tutorials are already available on your YouTube account, right? So whoever is interested in seeing what Tim has been working on so far should basically check out his YouTube account under Saku's Mind, and I think there'll be a wealth of creations and of animations and of art pieces already there for you to check out.
From Tim when it comes to sculpting and especially surfaces and making things look more realistic, and so if you're thinking of starting with Dreams, check out YouTube tutorials, and yeah, they will help you a lot.
And Oliver, any projects on your end?
Too much. Nothing that I can release right now, but I'm just always playing with prototypes, with different gameplay ideas, and yeah, we'll never stop that. And maybe there will be one day a game that is finished and not just a demo. But yeah, we'll see. I don't stop creating, and I will maybe create one.
I'm still hopefully waiting for that journey-like a game from you guys, right? You know that, so that
Yeah.
you will still have to put that out before the lights go off.
And we need to shorten it a little bit.
I think what we can take away from this is that like Dreams as a tool has been incredibly transformative for a lot of us, but it has also been a great way to create a community and to create interest in game design and in designing playable experiences. Now, whether or not anybody will be continuing in Dreams or moving on to another platform, I hope this has been educational and interesting for those of you who wanted to see what all the fuss was about. We can at least surmise that no other show during this festival has ended with a game about a sausage spewing penguin, so that is something we can write down in our personal achievements. And please do take the time during the festival. Please do take the time to check out the Dreams creations and the curated playlist. Please do check out the Machinima Cinema as well. There are some creations from Dreamers also appearing over there. I thank the panel very much for coming here and for being a part of this. I know that you have taken up some arduous travels to get here, and I think it's fantastic to be able to have this opportunity to show this community and to show this spirit that has been so important for the last 3 years. And thanks, of course, to the audience and to you for paying attention and for playing along and for giving us these ideas for the game. Thanks to the audience on stream as well. Hope it was informative and interesting for you as well. And after a short break, the program here at the festival will continue with the co-op soap opera games, like each night. So tune in for that as well. And thanks from us. Thanks from a German part of the Dreams community. And see you soon in the Dreamiverse or elsewhere. Thank you.